Welcome to this explainer. Picture this for a second. A massive new data center is being built today out in some quiet desert town. The zoning laws that passed this morning, the energy grid contracts signed this afternoon, these aren't just your standard, boring local administrative duties. They are literally the physical bedrock of an intelligence that is going to govern our daily lives in just 4 short years. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on our source material to reveal how tomorrow is actually created. It's so fascinating because the decisions being made right now, today in 2026, are quietly designing the exact parameters of the world of 2030. It's like this giant puzzle of infrastructure, code, and capital all coming together at once. And honestly, once you realize the sheer scale of the architecture of the future that's being laid out right now, it completely changes how you view the present.
Which brings up a pretty intense question about the rest of this decade. Is the world of 2030 already fundamentally decided? We are so incredibly used to believing that our immediate future is shaped by, whatever is making the loudest noise on the evening news. We think traditional politics, global summits, or even military conflicts are the main drivers of the next decade. But the reality painted by our source material is entirely different. Just consider how a tiny algorithmic adjustment made by a handful of engineers regarding data scraping or how content gets sorted often dictates public behavior and market valuations way more profoundly than some highly publicized piece of legislation. Our world is being forged by this powerful, invisible architect working constantly in the background. Most people are completely oblivious to it, but artificial intelligence is actively drafting the blueprint of our lives just a few years from now, operating way beneath the radar of traditional political theater.
Now, we really have to shatter this illusion that AI is just some abstract future technology we're all waiting around for. It is the absolute present. It is functioning right now in incredibly high-leverage areas of our daily routine. Think about the life cycle of information today. An AI system might write a news article, right? That article is then distributed by algorithms controlling the entire flow of online content, and then it's read by government officials who are actively using AI to analyze public sentiment on that very article. It's an entirely closed loop. And of course, it's replacing traditional jobs and even creating our entertainment. There's a real irony here, actually. We spent decades assuming AI would kind of top out at recommending what movies we should watch on a Friday night, and now it's actually generating the movies themselves. The footprint is already massive across all these sectors, but as our source material warns us, this foundational presence is really just the groundwork for what comes next. Okay, so the absolutely crucial point we're uncovering here is the fundamental shift in how we use this technology. We are moving from simple assistance to complete substitution. For decades, the big buzzword was automation, and that just meant machines assisting humans, taking over those repetitive mechanical tasks to make physical work faster or safer. Think of a robot arm in a car factory, for instance. But we aren't just automating physical redundancy anymore. We're crossing a critical threshold into full replacement. And the mechanism driving this is cognitive mimicry. Modern AI isn't just following a predetermined physical loop. It's replicating human reasoning, pattern recognition, and really complex decision-making. So this means machines don't just help the human do the role anymore. They have the cognitive capacity to take over the role completely. It's a complete rewiring of the relationship between human intellect and commercial output. And that shift toward cognitive replacement, it's manifesting in this silent transformation happening right now across surprisingly diverse everyday industries. We aren't seeing a loud, sudden disruption where millions of people are handed pink slips on a Friday afternoon. Instead, attrition and silent substitution are changing the landscape without any fanfare at all. We're talking about cashiers at your local grocery store, editors meticulously polishing text, graphic designers creating ad visuals. But perhaps the most fascinating and maybe ironic vulnerability lies with basic coding roles. The very software engineers who painstakingly typed out the logic gates and algorithms that built the AI era to begin with are now finding their own roles highly vulnerable to the exact systems they birthed. The intelligence has reached a point where it can write its own code. It's touching physical work, creative work, and deeply technical work alike. Because this shift touches nearly every sector simultaneously, the source material redirects our attention completely away from the old debates. The biggest question is no longer, will AI take jobs? Honestly, that debate is effectively over. The answer is a resounding yes. The real issue now is the collision of timelines. Specifically, how fast is this transition going to happen before society can adapt? Think about the traditional speed of human institutions. It takes years to reform an educational curriculum, decades to restructure an economic policy, and endless legislative sessions to update social safety nets. Those bureaucratic gears grind incredibly slowly.
Now, contrast that with a system that learns, scales, and deploys globally at the literal speed of a software update. Can our human infrastructure possibly adapt fast enough to survive a socioeconomic transition that happens practically overnight in a server farm? Let's zoom out for a second, because this silent transformation isn't just about individual jobs or domestic economies. It scales all the way up to the highest levels of geopolitics. We are witnessing a historic pivot from a world fighting over physical resources to nations locked in a silent, extremely high-stakes race for technological supremacy. The old race was defined by global competition for tangible assets, securing borders for land, drilling deep for oil. That paradigm drove the entire 20th century. But the new race? It's entirely digital and far less visible. It's defined by who can secure the most advanced silicon chips, who can construct the most massive, energy-hungry data centers, and who commands the most raw compute power. It is a fierce competition between superpowers, where the victor isn't claiming physical territory, but algorithmic dominance. And the stakes of this new digital Cold War become incredibly clear when we examine the new world power structure. Whichever nations master this technology effectively hold the keys to a deeply interconnected empire. It all starts with the global economy, as AI-driven efficiency will absolutely dictate market dominance. But economic supremacy directly funds and feeds into the next pillar, advanced military systems. We're talking about autonomous decision-making that could determine tactical superiority in mere milliseconds. This military and economic weight then allows a nation to control the worldwide information flow, literally dictating what narratives reach billions of screens. And think about it. When you control the economy, the weapons, and the truth, you possess ultimate global influence. It's a total cascading effect. The winner of this race essentially gets to rewrite the rules of global power in a winner-takes-all scenario that is quietly playing out right this very second. So how exactly will this massive geopolitical shift trickle down to our everyday reality? Well, projecting just 4 years ahead to 2030, experts outline a daily existence completely enveloped by automated intelligence. We're looking at a society where AI assistants actively manage the logistics of every single home. Fully automated factories produce global goods without a single pair of human hands. AI doctors provide initial diagnoses in nearly all hospitals, and entire smart cities run on highly complex predictive traffic and energy algorithms. Life is poised to become exponentially easier and highly optimized. However, there's a profound vulnerability hidden in all this convenience. We're going to become deeply structurally dependent on these integrated machine systems just to survive. If a smart city's predictive energy grid or water distribution system goes offline or gets compromised in 2030, it won't just be a minor inconvenience. It will instantly paralyze millions of people who no longer have the manual infrastructure to fall back on. As we absorb these sweeping, systemic changes, we really have to return to the core message embedded in our source material. The world of 2030 is not some distant destination. It isn't a package simply waiting to be delivered to our collective doorstep. It's something being actively constructed, brick by digital brick, every single day, right beneath our noses. The neural networks being trained this evening, the regulatory policies being debated this morning, the billions in venture capital being deployed right this very second. These are the literal foundation stones of our near future. We are laying down the tracks just inches in front of a speeding train. And right now, human civilization is building its own successor architecture faster than at any previous point in recorded history. I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative thought from our source material to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. We already know artificial intelligence is changing the fundamental mechanics of our world. But as we become completely reliant on these systems for our news algorithms, our employment structures, our healthcare diagnostics, and the very functioning of our cities, exactly who holds the agency in our rapidly approaching future? Are humans still actively guiding AI to build the 2030 we actually want? Or, actually, is AI slowly, silently guiding humans? It's a truly fascinating dynamic to consider as you go through your day. Thank you so much for exploring this source material with me, and definitely keep your eyes open to the future being built